Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that honestly just shouldn't be mathematically or statistically possible. We're looking at a true data anomaly, an absolute fairy tale of a family legacy in sports. We are breaking down the timeline, the staggering numbers, and the incredible stories behind Paolo Maldini and his legendary lineage.
So let's kick things off with a question that feels almost impossible to answer in modern sports. Has a single family ever represented their country's national team across three completely separate generations? I mean, think about it. In an era defined by massive club transfers, incredibly short career spans, and just the sheer crushing pressure of professional athletics, the idea of a grandfather, a father, and a son all reaching the absolute pinnacle for the exact same nation, it's incredibly rare. But amazingly, one family actually pulled it off.
Let's look at part one, the three-generation dynasty. To really wrap our heads around this phenomenon, we have to look at the unbelievable timeline of the Maldini family and their deep, deep connection to the Italian national team. It starts way back in 1960 with Cesare Maldini making his debut for Italy, a man who would later go on to even coach the national side. Then, the baton gets passed down to his incredibly talented son Paolo Maldini, who makes his debut in 1988. And guys, it doesn't stop there. Flashing forward to the modern day, Paolo's son, Daniel Maldini, steps onto the pitch for Italy in October 2024. We are literally looking at over 60 years of elite, unbroken family heritage.
And there's this poetic coincidence to the timeline that I just love. You honestly couldn't write a better script for a movie. Daniel stepped onto the pitch to make his international debut in the city of Udine. Now, why does that matter? Because Udine is the exact same place where a fresh-faced 16-year-old Paolo Maldini was thrown into his very first professional match for AC Milan way back in January 1985 by coach Niels Lidholm. It's kind of like fate itself chose the location for the legacy to continue 39 years later.
Moving right along to part two, the one-club legend. Now that we've seen the generational scope of this family, let's zoom in on the absolute anchor of this dynasty, Paolo Maldini, and his totally unprecedented loyalty. 25. That is the number of consecutive seasons Paolo Maldini played for a single club, AC Milan. From the mid-1980s all the way to 2009, through completely different eras of football, different managers, and totally different tactical philosophies, Paolo was the one constant. He never left.
Building on that insane loyalty, Paolo amassed an untouchable 902 total appearances for AC Milan across all competitions. That's a record of longevity that simply defies modern football logic. Just think about the sheer physical toll playing top-flight football takes on the human body, especially for a defender. You have to make crunching tackles, jump for headers, and track some of the absolute fastest attackers in the world. To do that at an elite level for 902 matches, it's an incredible feat of endurance and discipline.
To truly understand the fear and respect he instilled in his opponents, you just have to listen to Italian great Roberto Baggio. He said, when you found him in front of you, you knew you would not pass. You needed to put together 15 players to make one like him. I mean, that perfectly proves that Paolo wasn't just durable. He was an absolute wall. He combined tactical intelligence, raw athleticism, and perfect positioning so seamlessly that even the greatest attackers literally felt powerless against him.
Which brings us to part three, the ultimate defensive partnership.
You see, Paolo didn't build this legacy entirely in a vacuum. He was half of arguably the greatest central defensive partnership in the history of calcio, or Italian football. On one side, you have Paolo Maldini, tall, possessing this natural elegance on the ball, famously good-looking, and originally a world-class left-back who could seamlessly transition into the center. On the other side, you have his mentor, Franco Baresi. Shorter, skinny, incredibly ferocious in the tackle. The quintessential libero, a few-roaming defensive sweeper. It was the ultimate beauty and the beast dynamic. Maldini's grace perfectly complemented Baresi's sheer, relentless grit on the pitch. Together, they were an absolute nightmare for attackers.
And the data backs this up in a big way. This partnership anchored a ridiculous 58-game unbeaten league run between 1991 and 1993. Across almost 60 matches against the top teams in Italy, which by the way was without a doubt the hardest league in the world at the time, they conceded just 21 goals, and in the 1992-93 season, 0 defeats. They were the undefeated champions. The numbers here were just flawless.
If the stats weren't enough, we have the ultimate testimonial from the legendary Brazilian striker Ronaldo, El Fenomeno. He unequivocally named Maldini as his toughest opponent. Keep in mind, Ronaldo played against the most ferocious defenders on the planet during his peak, but it was Maldini's combination of timing, strength, and just flawless reading of the game that stood out to him the most.
Part 4. Trophies, Records, and Longevity.
To see how this unparalleled defensive skill translated into team dominance over a quarter of a century, just take a look at Maldini's career haul. It's a fairy tale in itself. He won 26 total trophies. Breaking that down, he secured 7 domestic Serie A titles and a stunning 5 European Cups or UEFA Champions League titles. Plus, he earned 126 caps for the Italian national team, leading them to the finals of the 1994 World Cup and Euro 2000. He wasn't just showing up to these tournaments either. He was named to the all-star teams for almost every major international competition he played in.
But here is where it gets incredibly cinematic. There's a magical symmetry to this success. In 2003, Paolo hoisted the European Cup as AC Milan's captain after a grueling match at Old Trafford in England. Exactly 4 decades earlier, in 1963, his dad Cesare lifted the exact same trophy for the exact same club as captain in the exact same country. I mean, come on. It's a detail that just gives you goosebumps.
Because of this absolutely unmatched legacy, upon his retirement at age 41, AC Milan completely retired his iconic number 3 shirt. But they did it with one massive, dynasty-defining condition. The number 3 could only be unretired and worn again if one of Paolo's sons ever made it to the AC Milan first team. And that leads us to our final section, Part 5, The Legacy Continues. Which brings this explainer full circle, right back to 2024. Listen to this quote from the current Italian national team coach, Luciano Spalletti, praising Daniel Maldini. He says, "Daniel is great to watch, that he knows when to lift his head up and drive with the ball, and he's very difficult to stop. Daniel isn't just coasting on his famous last name, he's stepping onto the pitch and proving his immense quality. He is ensuring that the family name remains a vital, exciting part of Italian football's future."
So as we wrap things up today, I want to leave you with this thought. Considering the immense dedication, the genetic talent, and the perfect timing required to stay healthy and relevant for over 6 decades, will we ever witness a 3-generation dynasty like the Maldinis again? Honestly, it's incredibly unlikely. What we are looking at is a true, one-of-a-kind sporting miracle. Thank you so much for exploring this anomaly with me, and definitely keep exploring the incredible narratives hidden right inside the data.